Thanks to the support as a channel member, Grant Charman. No, I agree. On paper, Atletico Madrid looks just about as difficult as second round ties we could get in the Europa League. But on the plus side, they're in the Europa League because they didn't even finish in the Champions League spots in La Liga last year. And they're on course to not finish in them again. I don't think this is the same Atletico side that we all know and love from the distant past. So you never know. Hello and welcome to part 67 of the Greek Odyssey. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have both legs of the Europa League second round tie against Atletico Madrid. And as mentioned in the little intro there, they did finish fifth in La Liga last year after two consecutive fourth place finishes. They're currently sat in fourth place again, in very real danger of not qualifying for the Champions League once again. So although, yes, it's Atletico, that's scary. I don't know if it's as scary as it would have been if it had been them when they were at their best. The thing that might be a little bit more of an issue for us is that we're facing them just as we've started to stop being any good. We lost to Olympiacos in the Greek Cup semi-final first leg. That's the first time Olympiacos have beaten us in 90 minutes in a year and a half, probably longer. So that's a worrying precedent to set. We then followed that up with a 0-0 draw at home against Panathinaikos in the league. We are still looking good to win the league. We're 9 points clear. We've got to play Olympiacos twice more in that time. As long as we don't mess up in those games, we should be fine. And I'm hoping this is just one of those little blips that you get when you know you're facing a big club. Atletico, despite their poor form recently, still a 4.5 star team compared to us as a 3.5 star team. So everyone would be expecting them to go through. It's quite nice being an underdog. Being an underdog, we're used to it. Hopefully, we can find our way past them. A lot of that is going to come down to how we get on in this first leg. I don't like being the home team in the first leg, but if we can get a couple of goal victory and maybe avoid conceding an away goal, we give ourselves a chance going into the second leg, which is what we'll be seeing in the second half of the episode. So we're going with Svilar in goal, a back four of Kansarevic, Lawson, Parola and Kalapitis, Michaelis at the base of the midfield, Duffy and Cordoba ahead of him, and then Betrancourt, Marola supporting Damien up front. Let's get into the game. Let's cross our fingers and let's hope for some kind of victory. I think probably hoping for a 3-0 win and not conceding any goals and all that kind of stuff. It's probably all a little bit too much to ask for. But if we can somehow find a victory of some sort, then that's a good result. Similar to how we did against Juventus last year. We did ultimately get knocked out, but we had a nice little moment where we beat them in the home game, which at least let us know that we can be competitive with these kind of teams. And as we continue to make further steps forward in our development as a European side, one day we'll get to the point where we can beat a team like this over two legs. Might even be today. Who knows? I just suspect it probably won't be today, because although we have got a smattering of world-class players in the team, Duffy and Damien being the two obvious ones, there's also the likes of Kalapitis, Michaelis playing in defensive midfield, Svilar in goal, who aren't and wouldn't really get into any other Champions League level teams, at least in the position, for Michaelis, in the position he's playing. He'd probably be all right as a centre-back. We've had... I think, was it Bayern Munich who were in for him, or were Juventus the ones who were in for him? There was a big team in for Michaelis, but I don't think they'd be playing him as a defensive midfielder the way we are at the moment. And it's a frustrating position where it was a huge strength of our youth system early on, but we haven't actually had a good one come through since LeBroux, really. And we probably need to strengthen defensive midfield this summer. I know there's going to be people saying again, Kev, look in the youth team. We've just had our new youth intake come in. I'll try and remember to show it to you between the two matches. I've not even bothered putting it up for channel members to pick a name in the game from, though, because the best player out of this latest youth intake for the second year in a row is 3-star potential. We can't develop youth if the youth's not coming through. Damien scores, though. Maybe once he's not here, the quality of the youth will miraculously look better because it's not being compared against one of the best young strikers in Europe. There's always that. I mean, we'll keep a close eye on it. It would also put into context the 3-star striker that we saw, the 3-star potential striker we just sold to Liverpool. If it turns out he becomes 4.5 stars after Damien moves on, because Damien's so good. I'm hoping that's not the situation. Svila plucks the corner out of the sky, and we maintain our 1-0 lead for now. And I mean, I'll absolutely take this. If you want to, I was going to say, ring the final whistle, because you ring a whistle, blow the bells, ring the whistles. We're winning against Atletico Madrid. Damien's in again. Oh, I thought he was going to score again. But yeah, we would take a 1-0. Absolutely, we'll take a 1-0. A 1-0 is better than a 2-1, that's for sure. Would obviously prefer a 2-0 though. You know the permutations. You know how football matches work. I'm very encouraged by the fact that Atletico at the moment don't seem to really be fully engaging with the process, which I guess is a good thing. Although I don't know if that's poor goalkeeping from Svila or if the highlight made it look weirder than it was, but it looked like he was absolutely nowhere near that header, and he's lucky that it went wide. But 1-0 at half-time, we've asked them to avoid complacency, and hopefully we can, at the very least, avoid conceding. And if we can go and nick a goal of our own again and make it 2-0, at 2-0, I believe we have a chance going to their place. 1-0, I fully expect to be turned over the way we were against Juventus last year. We were 1-0 up from the first leg, and it wasn't enough of a lead for us to go there and have any kind of chance. But if we could grab a second, then you never know. It does start to put some pressure on Atletico at that point, which would be interesting to see how they cope under it, because from what I can tell from league positions in recent years, they've not been great with pressure because they keep gradually falling further and further off the pace in La Liga, and they're now attacking down our right-hand side. I mean, this guy is a problem. That's the last thing we wanted to see happen. Instead of going 2-0, it's gone 1-1. This is a disaster. I mean, it's not a disaster. We're supposed to lose this tie. It's not ideal, is it? Now, for me to feel like I've got any chance, we need to go and score another 2 or 3. 2-1. If in any away game first leg in Champions League or Europa League, I would always be happy losing 2-1 away in the first leg. That feels like a perfect platform to go and build from in the second leg at home. So I think now they've scored, for me to actually feel like we've got a chance, it needs to be 3 or 4 for us. And that seems pretty unlikely unless Damien decides to show the world why he's off to PSG and going to be paid £150,000 a week for the pleasure. But why would he bother? What's in it for him? I don't think he's even on a goal bonus with us at the moment because he's on loan. Marola's in and can't squeeze the ball past the goalkeeper. It was probably just as well Damien's not on a goal bonus after the last few years. He'd have bankrupted us. We wouldn't have been able to afford to sign Duffy permanently if Damien had been on a goal bonus. Betancourt, though, is through here. Atletico committed so many men forward. Betancourt wins the ball back, and he's scored 20-plus goals this year, and you would put your mortgage on him scoring there. I'm not quite sure why that's blazing wide. I think he's just bottled that under the pressure because he got himself into such a good position. Long throw, Damien's there, but the header is straight at the goalkeeper. We've had 4 clear-cut chances, 3 half chances. We have been the better team, but once again, as has been the case a few times at this kind of stage of the bigger competitions, despite us looking very good, and it's the opposite of the problem we have in the league. It's very odd, but we're creating all these chances, and despite having Damien, we're not actually converting much of them. It does make me wonder how good Damien actually is, where every time we have a really big game against a really good side, we create all these clear-cut chances, and he doesn't really. It's not as if he's scoring hat-tricks consistently in these big games, where we've had 5 clear-cut chances in this game now. Betancourt's injured. De La Vega's going to have to come on for him. Duffy. We don't have the bench isn't offering me much in the way of inspiration. I'm looking at Glauber Vinicius, but he's not fully fit and could only really play as a striker up alongside Damien anyway. Yikes. We need more players. We've got 2 left backs, a defensive midfielder, an injured striker, and a youngster. I mean, do we give him a try out on the right wing? It's a big ask. This is the lad we brought in from Olympiacos. Bring him on for Marola and see what he's got, I guess. It's a baptism of fire situation. If he comes on and turns the game around for us, then he's a superstar. I think that's being disallowed. The referee is doing his standing on the spot thing, although it doesn't look like he is disallowing it. I was convinced that was being disallowed. I mean, I can't imagine what for, because he's obviously not offside. But for us to lose our home leg, we really are in trouble going into the second leg now. And I don't think we have any chance at all of making it through. Atletico have come here and just, it doesn't matter if they're in poor form. It doesn't matter if they're struggling to get momentum going in their own league. They look at a team like us and they know they're better than us. Just look at the quality of player that they've got. They are just better than us. And it's good to have these reminders every now and again. Because I think a few people, there's been a few little murmurings that the series might be going a little bit too well. It looks like it's a little bit too easy. But then every now and again we get a game like this and it just reminds us that the reason it looks like it's easy is because most of the time we're playing against Greek teams and we are better than all of them. But when we come up against the real European elite, it's a little reminder that we're not an elite league. We're still like the 6th to 8th best league in Europe. And that step up to the really big leagues is still a significant one because we could be the best team in Greece and struggle against the 5th best team in Spain. Right. I've got to get Vinicius on, even though he's injured. We've got to try and grab a goal. So he's going to come on and do that. He's going to do that. And he can drop him back ever so slightly. And we roll the dice and we see if we can grab a goal. Vinicius has been injured twice since signing him so far. So we've not actually seen a goal from Vinicius just yet. I am a little bit worried that we might have signed a bit of an injury-prone dud, which, considering we spent £20 million on him, would be a little bit of a problem. Because £20 million a year ago could potentially have bought Damien, but we didn't have £20 million a year ago. Parola plays it forward to Cordoba. I'm hoping Vinicius, once he speaks the language, will be a superstar, because he should be. He looks like he's going to be that good. But it's just going to take him a little bit of time to settle in, which was one of the reasons for bringing him in January, to give him 6 months with Damien still here, where he can be a reserve, he can learn the language, he can get used to the way we play and not have the pressure on him. So hopefully that decision ends up coming good, but it does mean in situations like this, he's not going to make much of a difference coming on, especially when he's already carrying a knock. De La Vega with the corner and it's headed clear, and now Atletico lump it even further clear and have the opportunity for a counter-attack, but they didn't take it. And now it's Calapitas. If we can grab an equaliser here, who knows? We can't, because they've got a fancy goalkeeper. And now they're coming at us again for another... I don't even want to call it a counter-attack. They're just relentlessly coming at us. I look at those match stats, and I am sickened by what I see. I don't remember the last time we had 7 clear-cut chances in a game. I certainly don't remember ever being in a situation where we've had 7 clear-cut chances and lost a game at home by 2 clear goals. Apollon 1, Atletico 3 does not tell the story of what this match has been, because we've had 7 clear-cut chances to their 3, 3 half chances to their 5. You've got to look at the strikers and the attackers in general. Got to say I'm not happy. We played well enough to get something out of that, and to be beaten that comprehensively when we played that well stings. So some good news, bad news. Good news is we beat Ike. We are looking very good for winning the league. We're 9 points clear still with, 8 games left to go. Looking very good there. The bad news is we picked up some suspensions in that first leg. Michaelis and Cordoba both suspended for this second leg. Cordoba, by the way, who's just been called up to the full Argentina squad for the first time, age 25. So that gives you an idea of where he is in the grand scheme of things. Not yet showing as being a world-class player, but he's getting the call up for Argentina. So he's not a million miles away from that kind of level by the looks of it. But losing him and Michaelis is something of a problem, because it means our midfield, we basically don't have a midfield. With losing Bozic and not having Pepe registered in our European squad, it means we're going to have to give a debut to Ioannis Palinginis, a 21-year-old Greek former under-19 international who's out of contract in this summer, and this is likely to be the only game he ever plays for us. 1.5 star potential. No, 1.5 star current ability, 3 star potential ability. Yeah. He's never played for us. He's playing today. I would have switched to a 4-2-4, but Vinicius, who's the only other striker we've got, because Traore's not in the squad, he can only play 45 minutes. So the plan is, if it looks like it's worth doing at half-time, Vinicius comes on for Palinginis, and we go to a 4-2-4 and try and really push things in the second half. But there's no point doing that if we're already 3 or 4-0 down by that point, because it is a risk to play him in the game at all. But it might be a risk worth taking. The bench looks so weak. Oh, the bench looks weak. Oh, we need a deeper squad, and we need to make sure that we don't make too many changes mid-season. As much fun as doing all those transfers in January was, it meant that we were only allowed to make 3 changes to our European squad. So despite Traore and Pepe being important parts of the league squad, they weren't able to be added into the Europa League squad. They probably should have been in there from the start. But there's been too much turnover of player this year, and the squad's probably still not big enough. So we need to focus back in on some Greek players, really, because one of the problems we've got is in Europe having enough players who were trained in Greece, which we might, I don't know, the ones that are any good are really expensive. There's one at Man United, but he'd cost us like £45 million. But I guess we just spent 40 million on Duffy. I doubt we're going to have that kind of money to spend again anytime soon, though. But we do probably have to find some Greeks. And we ain't going to do that from our own youth system at the moment, because despite being the best in the world, or one of the best in the world, it's not creating any players, and I don't know why. It must be something to do with the head of youth development, or the reputation of the club, or what else could impact it. We've got state-of-the-art youth facilities. Greece is obviously still producing good young players, because the Greek under-19s won the under-19 World Cup. There's a lot of good Greek players being produced. They're just not being produced here, despite us having the best youth system. And I don't really know or understand why. Right. It is now worth making the change. We've made it through the first half. So the pre-planned change as we go for it in this second half. Vinicius comes on. We go to this in midfield. We're going attack him. And we just go for it. We've got, if we can score 3 goals without reply, we're through. Even if we win 2-0 away from home here, they've still outdone us with goals in the first leg. So it's got to be a 3-0 or a 4-1, etc. It's not going to happen. But we can dream, we can try, we can go for it. We're demanding more. Imagine if it did. It would be one of the great stories. Svilar's making a save. Would have been nice for him to do that in the first leg. Once again, we are ahead for clear-cut chances, by the way. I think over the course of the 2 legs, it's like 8-4 for clear-cut chances now to us. It's very frustrating. It's something we clearly need to work on. I think we just have things a little bit too easy in Greece. So we're not as efficient in front of goal as maybe we should be. Duffy, hovering around on the edge of the area, looking for a pass, finds Parola, who really wasn't. Duffy took so... Oh, for goodness sake. Well, there goes the 2 up front plan. Damien's injured. Can we bring that midfielder back on? Right, we're going to bring Paniolis on. We're going to stick Marola up front for the first time in years. And we'll do this. Yeah, there you go. We'll stick to the plan. Marola has not played up front for 3 years. Since that 6-month spell where he was brought in. Remember when we first signed him and he was the Damien replacement when we couldn't get Damien back the first time? We signed Marola. He played up front for 6 months and then we got Damien back in January and Marola moved out to the wing. Since then, he's only ever played on the right-hand side as an inside forward for us, to the point where he can't even play up front anymore, apparently. We've turned him into an inside forward over the course of 3 years. Milan are going to be furious when they get their striker back. Oh, and that's us out of Europe. We already were, but it's now rubber stamped. It's confirmed. We're just not as good as Atletico Madrid, which I guess shouldn't be too much of a surprise. I don't want to see your rotten replays. What I might do is get Bruno Rafael on just for a little bit of experience. because I guess it's a nice game for him to play in. He's played like 10, 15 La Liga games this year when he was on loan at Sevilla. So he's probably played against Atletico already. Maybe he should have started. No, he shouldn't have started. He's not as good as Kansarovic. But we gave it a good go. Better finishing. And who knows how this tie turns out, because, it's been a frustration. We just have to come back bigger and better and stronger next year, which we won't be because we're not going to have Damien. I've upset the players as well. What was Mrs Wearmouth looking for in the Europa League? She was looking for quarter-final minimum. Sorry, Mrs Wearmouth. Luckily, I'm still achieving everything else. Mrs Wearmouth's disappointed in me for the first time. And Damien will probably never play for Apollon again now, because there's no point in playing him. He's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, so he's going to be back with 3 or 4 games. The only reason Damien plays is if we get to that Olympiacos game and somehow everything's fallen apart and they're top of the league and we need a win. But it's going to be Traore and Vinicius for the rest of the year now as we prepare for life without Damien. And that's probably where we're going to come back. We'll come back for the title decider whenever it is. I doubt we're going to get a Greek Cup final this year because we're 2-0 down in that. So somewhere in this sea of games, there'll be a title decider. I suspect it might be AEK and Olympiacos as a double header to finish the season off. But we will see how the league pans out from here. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.